I thought something had happened.
I pressed the
I
wrong
was looking
button.
for the link. It's okay.
You didn't see the link?
No, I just got I got the link off of WhatsApp app just now, but before the original link disappeared and I thought there was something wrong with my phone for a hot minute.
Oh, because I put it in Discord, and then I put it in WhatsApp. I put it in Discord, and then I put it in WhatsApp. All right. How you feeling?
Good.
Okay, fantastic. So today in our coaching, I wanted to really to explore and to go into one of our favorite exploration topics, which is self sabotage, right? Self sabotage, and also what does it take to create self awareness and its direct connection to our self talk, right? So we have self. Do you have self talk?
Actually, all week long, I've been actually using the voice log. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a program where on your phone where you can talk into it and have like a voice diary. Because sometimes I don't want to write, but like when I have some time on the road, I just turn it on and I explore my thoughts and my feelings for the next however long. And it has been really effective for
Mm,
me this week.
nice. And in what kind of way can you elaborate a little bit more in terms of when you say it's been effective? Has it created a shift in terms of more awareness, or has your self talk in a sense come more to the surface, right? Come where like you're observing it intentionally and you're aware of it more, or like in what way would you say like it's
Well, before I go into the self talk, it's kind of like it's a combination of things.
mm,
Like as of late, um, I've been thinking about what we spoke about last week,
mm-hmm,
and I've noticed that we spoke about intuition, right? And that
mm-hmm,
intuition is quiet. So usually my intuition, if I allow it, usually around 3 to 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm half awake or half asleep is when I have moments where I have like thoughts would just come to me and my subconscious would say things to me.
mm,
And then by the time I wake up to get ready to go to work, I remember that. I remember what I was thinking about and what I was feeling about. And on my way to work, I usually put on the voice log and I explore those feelings and and how it made me feel, why I felt that way, and what I'll do to accommodate it. And being actually honest, like radically honest, not a victim, not like everything's against me, like actually really dive deep into where the feeling is coming from and think about it. And I found a lot of clarity
mm,
um and freedom. Like we spoke about it like 2 weeks ago about like me speaking about me taking the time to go to the bathroom, even even though I had kids on the bus, right? Now I did research and it said, the let me slow down. The school district usually don't allow drivers to do that.
oh,
And
hold on. Anything intimate, like the first portion of our coaching is this
no,
part.
it's fine.
Okay, good.
It's
Just
it's
want
okay. I'm kind of like honestly, Kwasa, I know I just want to be myself. Like I know that sometimes I say a lot of things, but I don't know. I feel free when I just be honest. Like I
nice.
don't want to feel shame in anything like what I'm saying because I'm very sure other people have gone through the things I've gone through. I actually went on Reddit and found out that I'm not the only driver that had that issue. So I
Mm-hmm.
found out that
Mm-hmm.
um I explored the feelings because I felt bad about what happened, and I was like, maybe I should have went on myself. And then I'm like, no, I promised myself that I'm gonna take care of myself, right? And I was being honest. I know what I did was wrong. I disobeyed orders, and I did it because I wanted to take care of myself. And the consequences is that I could have gotten fired, and I accept that. And instead of feeling bad, now I feel better because I chose myself.
Mm.
because my whole life I've been always I choose everybody else and everything else, but not myself. And I feel like when I choose myself, I'm teaching my subconscious that I actually mean it this time. And the more that I choose myself, the mind and the body connection, I start to feel a lot more connected to my body and the things I want to do. So from that, like every day for the last 5 days, I've been doing a voice log for an hour, like 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the afternoon, because I was exploring like, certain things that I had strong feelings about. Um, I won't really go into it, but like, it kind of led into other things too. Um, because I was exploring those feelings, I just started fasting. It's not even like a long fast, but I started questioning some things like, um, and what this actually goes into the self sabotage, right? When I first started fasting, right, I did it the way that like the 16/8, I was not that was not good for my body. The 16 hours off and the 8 hours on was not good for my body. And I asked myself through the voice log, why does everything have to be? Why does like okay? Why do I have to adhere to what the standard is? Why can't it not be tweaked to whatever my body likes? Right? So, all right. So I said, you know what? Randomly, I'm gonna start my fast at 7 p.m. and I'm gonna end it at 8 a.m. Right? Um, and my body reacted in a positive way. My mind as well too. And during the fast, the first couple of days was interesting because I had hunger like around 12 a.m. in the morning, and I was asking myself gently, "You're not
Mm.
hungry. You had all your calories for the day. You have extra body fat. You're not going to starve to death, girl." And then eventually, and it's the weirdest thing.
Second, two
Um,
distinctions. This is excellent, by the way. I'm so proud of you because this part is a big part that's usually missing. We can put so much stress on ourselves, and the movement practice is definitely therapeutic. It's definitely important. But I would say a big component that's missing with most of us when it comes to eliciting changes, right, is this part because it's intentional. It is an actual work, but you can't necessarily see it with your hands. You're working with your own operating system and you're questioning rather than going along with the autopilot tape that's like playing, right? So one, you said two things. You said fasting. Now I invite you to just consider, not making it right or wrong, because I feel where you're going. Rest in contrast to fasting. Is there any kind of different feeling that comes up when you think of the words rest? And in this context, I mean resting your body, resting. I was saying particularly the digestive system and fast. The two different pictures or tones or feelings come up. That's one. And number two, you said I disobeyed orders, which is not wrong. And this thing you said, I know I did something wrong, right? So I invite you. I totally get what you're saying. I'm not making it wrong, but I invite you to maybe tweak it, not ever to lie to yourself, but to tweak it to perhaps try and see how it feels, where these are the guidelines of my place of employment. And I did not adhere to those guidelines, right? In contrast to I did something wrong and I disobeyed orders. Your place of employment, your employer does have guidelines and they have rules. But when the wrong, does that have a feeling? What kind of connotation does that have? And you said one other thing. Oh, one other thing you said was at 12 o'clock, you said you started to feel hungry. And you said, come on, which I don't think you're doing excellent in terms of on your own awareness, right? You have extra fat, adipose tissue. And adipose tissue, to put it a bit more into a context, and I'm saying it's because it does have in a background, right, in the subconscious, a feeling, a tone. So excess adipose tissue in contrast to fat. We know it's fat, but fat sometimes can be loaded in terms of already what's in our imprint and our psyche when we think of the word fat. When it comes to people, when it takes of women, when it comes to ourselves, when we say fat, it has a feeling to it. In contrast to, I have extra adipose tissue. I have let's say I have 10 pounds of extra adipose tissue, right? Because what I'm doing is I'm giving it space, and I'm depersonalizing. I'm making it more objective. So it has less to do with me as a person, and more I'm getting space to see it more as facts, right? So I'm not subtly triggering feelings and emotions that even in the background are judgmental towards myself, if that makes sense, right? So if I have excess fuel, let's say 35, well, no, 35, 3,500 calories is a pound of fat, whatever. 3,500 calories of energy is fuel. You can pull that fuel as stored as fat. You can have excess sugar in the blood. The sugar is converted, whatever excessive that's not being burned is converted to adipose tissue. So the extra fuel is stored as adipose tissue. So if we perhaps reframed it as, I have, let's say if I have 20 pounds, which if you take 20 pounds and multiply that times 3,500, right? That's how many units of energy, right? If we make it numbers, then you can start to be like, oh my gosh, how much would I have to burn? Or how long would it take me to burn it? So it makes it more sense. I actually factually have excessive fuel stored in my body that my body can access as fuel in order for me to carry out my tasks. And it has a different feel. Does that make sense?
Yes. I think I'm gonna explore that this week and how to, because you're right about the verbiage, the words. I've as a matter of fact, while I was doing the voice logs, I did say to myself that I just want my digestive system to rest, because
Yeah.
there when I noticed that, like, several, like, even last night I actually felt myself trying to go get a snack at 10 p.m. I'm like, I just stopped eating at 7 o'clock. I don't need a snack. I'm good. And I just went and drank some water. And then this morning I broke my fast around 9 o'clock.
Let's say you want to, as a human, and you want something sensory, you want a sensory experience. You could have delightful, different types of fragrant aromatic teas that don't need the excess fuel, aka sweetener. Right? That's what I'm saying. If we could put it to a certain category, organize it in our brain, it will make much sense, and we can I don't know, the image that just comes to my mind is kind of like
Oh,
triggers little atomic bombs or landmines, and you keep
you know,
suddenly. So
you brought up teas. I actually was drinking teas, the chamomile tea and the spearmint tea. No,
yeah. So the think of it, right? The tea, the experience. We're having a sensory experience. We have a human body. We're having sensory experiences. Our eyes, our nose, our tongue, our touch. Once we start tasting things, though, beyond the senses, it's the excessive fuel is triggering our blood sugar. Our bodies can only process so much fuel at one time. If we're not burning the fuel, because we're not moving athletically, not saying you got to be in a competition, but because we're not moving athletically, we're actually not burning the fuel. And that's just is we can see by our bodies that we're not athletic enough, or ideally we would not be sitting inside of a bus or in front of a computer. That's the culture, but that's not ideal for the human body. Does that make sense? Right.
yes,
So we're not burning that. So by all of these different words and language being loaded with triggering words and pictures that go with those words, it keeps the emotional triggers and autopilot behaviors, it keeps fueling them, because attach the words and the images trigger emotions, and it's keeping a whole narrative that is triggering emotions and driving actions on reflex. It's keeping it going. Does that make sense?
yes. I've been experiencing that a lot. Yes,
You're distinguished. So going through the exercise of unpacking the verbiage and starting to even continually develop more awareness to our feelings being triggered, right? And you can tell it's so seamless. It's so programmed in. We're going on automatic pilot. So when you said, wait a minute, when you question the autopilot, wait, I'm actually not hungry. Obviously, looking at my body, I have extra fuel stored on me, and I had enough adequate calories. I would also add to the calories if you had, so by now you know you are having your most of your calories are real whole food nutrition, which means it's nutrient dense. Then you can say not only that I get enough fuel, I have enough nutrition. That's usually more of the challenge. You can have a lot of calories and not have enough nutrition, right? And if we're looking at feeding and nourishing the brain and the nervous system, our primary concern is the nutrition. It's rare that most of us are not going to underdo calories, not consistently. That's rare, right? The nutrition is more so the concern at a cellular level, that you have enough and a variety of nutrition. Does that make sense?
It does, and I need the proper nutrition for my brain for me to function.
Right. And
That and water.
if you're eating whole foods like you have been, and you know how to do that now, right? We've got the color, we
Hmm.
got water, we got fiber, we got protein. We have an idea of a benchmark for not too much, and you have an idea. If you created a slight deficit, a deficit by 150 calories, right? Everything's not perfect, but you can recognize now. You can look at your food and you can know 150 calories. You can look out in terms of, if we look at your nutrition, right, on the app that we're using. We could identify 150 calories. We could take something and swipe a portion of it off and easily get that 150 calories and create a slight deficit that will be sustainable. You know the ballpark amount of your fuel, how much you need for the day. You got water, you got fiber, you got, antioxidants and nutrition. If we wanted to create a slight deficit, then it would really be a matter of, let's say if I was eating 500 calories or 300 calories worth of nuts or seeds or oil, I could cut it in a third. Being usually have habits, right? So that's right there would let you know it's not so much weighing and measuring. It's really about cultivating the awareness, right? Because if you're aware, for me, if I usually eat a cup of these nuts, that might be too much fat for the day. You know what I'm saying? You want to understand with those ballpark. Once you do, that's when you get to the point where you don't have to count, because most of us, we eat the same things all the time. But you want to understand in the grand context of how much fuel you're taking in. You know you're getting enough fiber for the day, 35 grams of fiber, right? You know you're getting enough greens, oranges, reds, purples. You got an assortment of colors, which means you're going to have an assortment of fiber, the fat and the protein. And I would even say, I think like we are hyperfixated on protein, but if we still have adipose tissue, if you're taking too much protein, that will be converted into fat too, you know. Are you aware of that?
No, I thought it's supposed to. Okay, okay.
The
I
thing
didn't
about it,
know that.
too much fuel is too much fuel. If you take in too much fuel of protein, it's going to be converted into fat. That's why we got to be careful. That's what I'm saying. A lot of times the way that we're operating in terms of processing our thinking and reasoning is triggered. It's on autopilot, right? And when we grab, we won't even stop to think. Wait a minute, we think a protein is satiating, but if you have no idea of like how much do you need, what does it taste like to be satiated and I had enough protein? Am I having it twice a day, 3 times a day? Do I need to have it 3 times a day or just 2 times a day? What are the requirements? What's enough for me to meet my requirements? Or are we eating too much? Let's say we eat too much fuel, but we're trying to balance out our food blood chemistry, and we're trying to feel more satiated. Okay, I'm feeling more satiated, right? Let's say I ate a whole bunch of carbs. Okay, I eat the protein, now I feel more satiated, but I still ate too much fuel. Too much fuel is going to be converted. Anything you're not using is going to be stored by the body. Is this making sense?
Yes, it does. And this week, I've just been going by the baggy method. I don't want to think too much. So I have vegetables in the fridge and I've been using the steamer. So, in the mornings, I would throw in the bag grapes, tomatoes, bell peppers, anything green.
Mm-hmm.
I pick whatever I want and then throw it in the bag. And that's how I break my fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I have like a boiled egg. I already know that,
Oh, so your rest,
I'm sorry.
your fast, or your body's rest from digestion.
You see, now you got me. Now this week, I'm gonna focus on seeing how I can change my way of verb, like how I speak to myself mentally, because
How,
it makes.
what is the difference in the feeling? Fast, because that's a narrative that has been taking all over the place. It has a feeling to it, right? And
It does.
rest from digestion. Like the two, one feels like the other one feels like a little bit of anxiety behind it.
You're right. And I'm very sensitive to like verbiage, because if I feel like a like fasting, or if it feels overwhelming, or if I feel like there's a demand, I'm not gonna do it. I know how I am. I mean,
And so
I've been doing this on and off for a while. But rest, I love resting. That feels easy. That feels effortless. That feels like it flows, and I don't feel like I'm doing much.
it actually feels like when you think of rest, that feels like that's definitely doing that feels like self-care. Just the idea of rest. We feel like we can't rest, right? And if you just said as a human being, the job, you are not allowed, you are disobeying orders, and you are wrong if you go address your needs. Think about that for a minute. How does that feel?
That causes mental health issues. The way you just said it, I can see why I have anxiety and like depression, because it's like I can't even adhere to my own human needs. I need
That,
to go to the bathroom.
that's crazy. That's nuts. So there's not enough dieting in the world. As a matter of fact, it's not just you. I can think of numerous people where I can't. I'm on the sales floor. I'm on the training floor. I have to be on like we're robots. I have to be. I get it. I'm not making it bad or wrong. But if you just think of it, sets a whole cascade of events, psychological, emotional, chemical events. So you keep now to add dieting to it. That's going to make you feel even more anxious. You feel what I'm saying?
Yes.
But if I think of rest, anytime you think of, no matter how you flip rest, rest feels like it's almost like we have to still. Rest feels like a relief. That's what it feels like. Relief, reprieve. It feels like just the word rest. Yo, that's crazy that we have to feel guilty and anxious and we have to sneak and still rest. That's nuts. To relieve ourselves. Talk about dehumanizing.
Now you got now. Oh, I'm gonna be writing something down later, because I'm like I was. You hit the nail right on the head, because I thought that was kind of weird. Like, why is it so wrong for me wanting to go to the bathroom? Like you, it's
I
no. I agree with everything you just said.
I get it. But if we could just feel like talk about that's beyond gaslighting. Now somehow we start gaslighting ourselves. That can only go on but for so long. That's going to make you break down the stress. That's stressful thoughts. That's a whole bunch of fear and anxiety. So you can buy the juicers, you can buy the waist trainers, but the foundation that you're living with, the internal self-talk, is I can't go to the bathroom or I'm going to be fired. Let's keep it a buck. That's scary, but this is what how many people are living. That's dehumanizing. Now, I'm not saying nobody's about to go quit their job. I don't think so. Not tomorrow. But when we can start to organize these things in our, we can not these things. We can start to become present to the operating system that is driving our feelings and our autopilot behaviors. And to question, you got to question. It's uncomfortable to question because part of you like, we got to keep going. This is bullcrap. If we don't do it, because you can never get off that treadmill. And time is passing, and arteries are getting clogged. You know what I'm saying? And we're aging. But to be caught in that loop, I'm sure this all of us on the spectrum, without questioning that, it's draining to your life force. How can you be motivated to do your workout when we're scared one wrong move and we're going to be out on the street, or we're going to be unsafe, or we're not going to eat? So to unpack the paradigm, the perspective, is challenging to do on your own.
I
It is.
honestly think it was the best thing that I did that, because it opened up. I feel like right now, because I've been thinking about a lot of different things. Um, the incident I had at work actually triggered something, and this has happened before when I had like a major life change. It always it's like one of those moments where everything seems like everything's going to collapse, but then in the moment of it collapsing, I find that it's giving me an opening for something else. That's what I feel like right now,
Mm,
because I thought just the idea of trying to get, no, she didn't fire me or anything like that, but like my boss didn't fire me or anything like that, but if she had, I would have just accepted it. I can't, I think I'm to the point where I just want to, because I have free will, right? You know, there's a lot of things. I just want to take care of myself, and I want to accommodate myself. And I think that's the focus, the next focus on the journey is to accept all that I am, the flaws, the breakdowns, the the burnout, and accept it, but also accommodate myself. I noticed because while talking to myself in the voice log, and I actually was going over things throughout my life, I realized that I never really took the time to accommodate myself. And
mm,
even more so, I learned that I was always accommodating and giving services to other people who did not care for me.
mm,
And I did it, and I know I did it out of because I wanted them to accommodate me and care for me as well. But I said to myself in one of my voice log diaries that I want to be the person I was years ago to myself now, doing
mm.
whatever it takes to accommodate, to take the time to make sure that my needs are met. Because I was radically taking care of a lot of other people. I'm like, that amount of energy, I want that all to myself. And I'm actually embracing being selfish or maybe, selfish may be a harsh word, but for me, I need it. I
It's
want all.
context of it when you're saying like it's a non-negotiable, like it's interesting that it even feels like we're doing something rebellious by saying it's non-negotiable for me to take care of myself, but how could it be anything else? That's crazy that it's
People don't.
rebellious for us to have to say it's a non-negotiable for me to go to the bathroom, to get a movement practice in daily, to have enough hydration, whether I'm drinking water or eating the cucumbers. It is a non-negotiable. Whether it comes into my life or out of my life, taking care of myself is non-negotiable. So if you call them at this hour, that's the time I'm doing my movement practice. I'm going to the bathroom, however, every day. So however that has to happen. It's a different feeling, but it's like that kind of stand up for yourself. It's crazy that that's an act of rebellion.
You know what's funny? This I wanted to add in there real quick. Like besides the rest in my digestive system, I had a really negative relationship with drinking water because
Mm,
of the, again, going back to my job, because the fear and anxiety of needing to go to the bathroom and always needing to perform. So I said right after the incident with my boss, right? No, I'm sorry, with the company, whatever. I said, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna sip water in the morning. I started sipping water. But through the sipping the water, I started um immersing myself into the process of hydration again. We went over it, and I'm starting to remember the things that we went over, right? So I started questioning certain things, right? And I even went as far as, those empty containers, like plastic clear containers. I wanted to compare my urine. I know this is maybe TMI to some people, but for me, I just needed to know when I'm hydrated or not. So when I'm at home or when I have time to do so, I would go and then I'll look at the color of it, and I can tell if I need to drink more water or less water. And then in the moment that I was doing, I don't care about the firing part. I need to know that I'm hydrated. And I noticed that for me at the current moment, because I know the body changes over time. Um, right now I'm drinking 6 cups of water, and that's enough. Any more than that, and then I'm too hydrated. And I noticed that sipping water throughout the day, I have more mental clarity. I feel less anxious. I have less fatigued, and I noticed that my bowel movements are good, but they're even better now, along with the rest in my digestive system. Like, I'm over here trying to, adhere to a standard that my body doesn't like. Basically, while doing the voice logs, I was kind of like talking to my body, like, okay, what do you like? Like, oh, let's do 12 hours and see how you react to it. Oh, you like that? Let's stick to that for a little while, get used to it, and then we'll change it. And I noticed my body was actually responding to it. I know this goes back into the whole building a relationship with myself and going to the park. Like me taking the time to find the time to go to the park, and I did it all last week, and I'm just like just sitting there, you know, actually digging my own presence. Like I like the way I feel right now. I like my presence. I like my body. I like myself in nature. Um, and
Hold, you just said a lot there. Wow. You said
I want that relationship.
I like myself. Right. Oh my gosh. You said a mouthful. That is the
And and this goes back.
wow.
This goes back to what I was saying before. I used to put so much time and effort into other people. I used
Mm.
to share my presence, my energy, my time, my effort for other people. And I'm like, let me put that all back into myself. Let me like really fall in love with myself and what does that really mean? Like the same way that I was so observant and I watch people and I give an example, like my ex liked green and he liked certain things, and I would just observe people and then I'll go get them something because I know it will make their day. Why not turn that onto myself and allow, no, just not even allow, engross myself in my own existence and ask my body, do you like this, do you like that, cater to it, make it
Yes.
feel like, make my body feel special instead of running on 10 driving a bus all day and making other people money. Let this 30 minutes to an hour is for me, and I get to swim in my own existence and love on myself while I'm in nature, enjoying the essence of my body and just around me in general. And I'm like, and when I usually leave the park, I feel so much better, so much better, and I feel like I'm getting a little bit more connected to myself. um
So
and
here's what I hear from you. What I have heard growing up, right, as a religious person, I've always heard people talk about, this is my perspective, not necessarily the truth, but always talk about your personal relationship with God. And I feel like we really parrot a lot of stuff, especially women, because it sounds right and there's a need for us to fit in with the group, right? Do you have a personal relationship? Do you have a personal relationship with God? And it's like, I always question as a young girl, young woman, how could you have a personal relationship with God, but you're abusing your body? You're eating to the point your stomach is distended. Like your stomach is small, right? We've gone over that before, the size of your actual stomach. But your organs are distended all over the place. We're enacting self-abuse on the body temple. That's our house here. Before we get to heaven, the house that we've been given stewardship over, our house while we're on this plane. But we say, we repeat, we're parroting that we have a personal relationship with God. Then if that's whatever source, God's source, but most people say God. How could you have a personal, is it the God, I would say, or is it the ego? I'm going to say it's the ego. And most of us don't make that distinction. How could you make that distinction 10, 11, 12 years old? You're going by what was given to you, and you don't really have a language yet to articulate or to make those distinctions. So even with us grasping out all this information and tarot and reading and Reiki, there's some basic distinctions that haven't been given to us, right? To understand our psyche and how we're being triggered. So what I hear you reflecting on is cultivating a personal relationship with your intuition, your knowing, your presence. We don't even have to put a label on it, but your whole experience. You're listening to the internal directions and instructions, the internal thoughts, and rather than following them blindly or mindlessly on autopilot, you're questioning, you're pausing to be very intentional. That is nothing to take for granted. That's one of the biggest things that is missing from most people's process with a health journey and quote unquote weight loss, which I will term weight what? Release. Because it is all, it's a state of mind. Holding on, I say weight release because holding on to excessive weight and consuming more fuel than we need, right? And not consuming more fuel, though not being aware of energy that we're consuming, right? Mental energy, emotional energy, not really being present to our consumption of TV, social media, arguments, fear, old memories, not being present to how it's affecting us and driving our behaviors. Huge untapped area. And if you are not present and you are following things mindlessly and you can be suggested to, things can be suggested to you that will trigger behaviors, then you're a moneymaker for somebody else. So this what I hate. Excellent, 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 excellent. This is a big part of what's missing. And just like we need a daily movement practice, this type of interaction, your personal relationship with God, or I would say your personal relationship with your presence while you are on the 3D plane and you have the loan of a human suit, that intuition, that internal compass, that internal onboard divine innate intelligence is what I would call it. Same thing, right? Fast versus rest. Being intentional with your words is really, really key. Personal relationship with God, that's flavored with so much stuff. We think of a man, white man, maybe has no color, but it's something mysterious that you could never know. Even we couldn't fully know. We do know there's an intelligence inhabiting this body, just like this life force for now inhabiting this body. There's instructions that you're taking. There's a whole thought process, thinking, reasoning, decision, action. That's constantly happening. So you slowing down to question the things that you're doing on automatic pilot, to observe it, to question it, to say, what is this what I really want to be doing? And to be intentional, to pause the automatic pilot and interject exactly what it is you want is not enough words for it.
Um, I thought it was interesting after I had the talk about, like, okay, going back to a couple of days ago, about, like, I just was telling myself while I was half asleep that I'm not really that hungry. Eventually, I don't know, I felt like my body was listening to me. The hunger went away, and then I went to sleep, and I had good sleep too. Like, not having to digest food,
Ah,
and actually rest.
I'm waiting for you to say that because digestion is one of the processes that takes up the most what? Energy. It takes a tremendous amount of energy to digest food. If you look at our bodies, we're usually not lacking in calories or fuel. Nutrition, yes, we're lacking nutrition, but not lacking calories. That's this big distinction. That's huge, right? And sometimes we're moving so fast, we got the right answer, but we're not feeling this. Still, we are intellectually accurate, but we are disconnected from more than half of the things that are coming out of our mouth. And you can know that based on our body of results. Not talking about superficial results. And yes, we can pay bills. That's not what I'm talking about. You can pay bills and be functionally. We were talking last week about being functionally depressed. Do you think you observe this a lot in the population?
Yes, a lot of people are functional depression. Have
Now
a
it's
lot of
undeniable now the amount of mental illness. It's not, I'm not making it up. What do you see?
a lot of people have it, and they're self-soothing via a lot of different things
And who's
instead
off
of addressing it.
in the vices and the self-soothing mechanisms? Entities. More get high, more just get high. Let me give you a substance to take the edge off. To, numb you basically, to numb. You're feeling pleasure. You can feel pleasure in your mouth with calories, just like you can perhaps even feel pleasure in your loins with intimate relations. That's not necessarily addressing any of the underlying issues. That's just something else. It's a form of pleasure. A lot of times today it's used for escapism. So you don't have to deal with your problems, but you leave something unattended to, it's just getting bigger. The arteries are
True.
getting clogged. So the self-soothing is not, it's not getting to the root. The self-soothing is a big band-aid on top, but it's so prevalent. It's so dominant in our culture right now. No one is questioning it.
You know, I think one of the reasons why I was binge eating is because I felt like I had no options. Like, going back to the whole work thing about feeling like I was going to get fired for it, right? Instead of just embracing it and being confident that I can get another job. When I feel stuck or like I'm cornered, then
Mm.
I binge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I feel like I had no options. But when this time around, I actually sat with my feelings,
Mm.
and it took like a day or two to really think it over, um, and really talk it through, to realize that I always have an option. And I've been taking care of myself this entire time anyway. And there's no point in me being fearful, and I did the right thing. And when I was saying those things to myself, I didn't have the feeling of wanting to binge. I didn't want to eat anything extra. I didn't want anything sweet. I just felt a sense of relief and a sense of release that I have um I can take, I don't know, I can take care of myself. I didn't feel stuck.
And where did the options come from?
I
Mhm.
It came from actual examples, like knowing, like, I'll give an example, like I actually sat down and I went over all my skills and how I am and if I'm marketable or not. Like, truth be told, my boss had every right to fire me and she didn't. And we're talking business, right? She's keeping me for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and on top of it, I know my driving record. I have a clean record. I've been doing it for a very long time. No accidents, no nothing. I'm always on time. I'm reliable. You know, all the other stuff that comes with it. Um, I know that those skills are marketable and that I can go other places with it. She knows it too. I actually have a more advanced license than I need to have for that company. Um, um, she knows, she has my information. I can go to a bigger company if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
But she's making sure, and then she's giving me an incentive to stay because it helps her. It's business, it's an exchange. And
So
once I realized, like,
asset to the business, to the company.
yes, because I run work for her. Like, how I say this, whenever she needs something done, I'm usually available for it. A lot of the other drivers are not going to do it.
Because of your skill set, because of your proficiency at your job in terms of driving. You're valuable because of your work ethic. You're valuable because of flexibility with your schedule. Are you not?
Yes, that, and I'm passionate about it and I take it seriously. Like, I really do make an effort to make sure the kids are on time, that they're safe, and she knows that. Because I come to her, I come to my boss about, like, the scheduling a lot, because I'm fearful like the kids won't get to school on time and it's going to cause an issue, and so I let her know ahead of time. I'm not saying that I'm better than all the other drivers, but there are drivers that don't do that. They just drop them off at whatever time. But I care, you know.
So you have a standard.
Yes, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it well. I've
If
always been like that, though. I like to keep it like,
you're hiring somebody for your position, would you hire with all of those different qualities? Would those be priorities that you would hire?
yes.
Passionate, work ethic, standard, right? Because we can say passionate, that's good, but having a standard, how that passion shows up is a standard, right? Work ethic, you know, you're being punctual, um, passing all of your tests and your certifications, right? Your knowledge base, your defensive driving, saying accidents, your honesty, you know, it's valuable to have people that have those as standards and work ethic for themselves, especially today. That's very valuable because it costs more money to hire somebody. It's not that somebody can still couldn't fire you with all of those things, but to retrain somebody and to have a company run smoothly, that's an asset. To have people with all those parts, that's an asset. That's an
There's
asset.
a lot of times she knows it because there's a lot of times where it
So
was a situation where she needed to.
let's pause for a second on her. She knows it. Do you know it?
I do, because I saved her buns a lot of times. Like, I
So
saved her.
you're valuable.
I believe I'm valuable.
I ask you what you believe. Are you valuable?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, I'm valuable.
Ah, how does that feel to say that?
Empowering, and I
Mm-hmm.
have free will and I can do what I want, more or less.
Oh, are you lying to yourself?
No.
No. Can you measure? You can measure that you're valuable, right? You just listed things that you can measure. It's not just subjective. I feel, I think. No, you just demonstrated several things, right? Several um, rubrics, or several things that we can use to measure if somebody's going to be a valuable asset. That I'm going to make more money if I have these kinds of people and I don't have to worry about them, right? That's an asset. If I got a crew like that, I'm good. I can make more money. That person is going to be an asset to other people that I have on the team because they're holding a certain standard. So you're valuable.
Yes.
You're valuable. Okay, I'm valuable. Wow, good for you. For you to establish that within yourself, I'm valuable. Now you're valuable to the job. You're valuable to this company. You're an asset. Even with flaws, you're valuable. With flaws, you're valuable to the company. Are you valuable to yourself?
See, that is the question I was asking myself. Like, if I'm valuable, why won't I accommodate my needs, my
Before,
human needs?
yeah, before you go there, list five things that an asset to you.
I'm sorry, repeat that. I have to move so I can get a better signal.
5 things that somebody would do that would make them an asset to you. What could somebody do for you that would make them an asset to you?
Um, them being honest, respectful.
Give me some. That's good too, the respectful. But I want some tangible stuff. That what
You
would
mean like
somebody
services?
out that's going to help you flourish so that you can feel rested, feel well fed, and be like, yo, like people always say, I'm a queen, I'm a queen. Okay, so you're getting queen treatment. What would that look like from somebody else? Literally, it's on the calendar. This is being done for me. What does that look like?
See, now that's I have to think about that.
Well, somebody's treating you well.
True. You know what I noticed? Yeah. I haven't actually someone that's consistent that can treat me well and they actually want to do it and they don't have to do it.
Okay,
Like,
let's get specific. Here's treating Kwasa well. The breakfast that I just made and I just shared with somebody here at Crown Jewel. It was fresh Hawaiian pineapple. We had some Blogo bananas, which is a different variety of banana I just got from the market. That I went and I walked the whole market and I sought out certain because somebody's coming to visit and just I was like, this is gonna be good. I'll share this with somebody else too. Blogo bananas, which I mashed fresh. Some fresh lime off the tree. I just squeezed that, put that in. I just grated coconut with the old-fashioned coconut grater, put that together, put the fresh pineapple on top of it, so it was like a nice porridge. And I was like, this needs something else. What else did we add on to that? We did fresh pineapple. Oh, and I also cut up some fresh local oranges with it.
that
So,
sounds heavenly.
so if you was here right now, you would have a bowl of that. You know that, right? There's no way you could be here and then you wouldn't be here. But there's no way you could be here and I would not serve you a bowl of that. Right. I like for people to feel that way when you're around that you're like well taken care of. That's easy as breathing for me. It feels good to witness that from somebody. But we often forget it's like, where's that happening for you? And we romanticize. We've been conditioned to want that and dream about that from other people. But are you serving that to yourself? Right? There's a lot of stuff going on. Somebody's coming tomorrow. But I said, you know what? Let me pause before we even did the breakfast, right? Which was absolutely lovely. I sat there and I savored it. We did some African dance, one of my favorite forms of movement. My mom was like, oh, we got to do this. Oh, the pool guy's coming. Oh, this is happening. I said, you know what? Let me pause and let me get this. Because now I'm not feeling like I'm not in the mood yet, but I'm like, let me just do it. Let me just do it. I know I'll never regret it, but I'm not there in this space yet because it's so much stuff on my mind. So, and then somebody here that's visiting said, I would love to do some yoga. I wanted to do the intense stuff. That'll feel better to me, but let me do the yoga. I said we would do yoga. We did yoga. I said, okay, we did the yoga. And I was like, okay, let me add in some of the yoga was actually fantastic. We opened up the doors onto the river. Birds are flying in here. I had jazz playing this morning. I turned off the jazz so I can hear all the birds and I can see the river and all that other stuff. Did the movement practice. Laid in Shavasana. so relaxed. And I was like, okay, now let's get a little bit of cardio. I thought I was going to go for 20 minutes. We wound up going for 40 minutes. Sweaty. And we did 2 sets of like 30 push-ups and probably did 50 squats in it. I said, we're going to do a little bit of cardio. But once the drums started playing, boom, it got me into peak state. Peak state. It makes me feel good. So I'm an autopilot in terms of how it triggers me to feel. Turned on the camera. I don't know who's on the YouTube channel, but I turned it on. Maybe somebody be inspired. But boy, between the breakfast, I just served myself. I served myself in nature, laying down for a minute in Shavasana. That's self-care. And in my mind, I'm like, I need this every day. I gave myself a shot of drugs. I got a shot of drugs from the inside. And I shared it with some, and I shared that bowl of the Blogo bananas, parched the fresh grated coconut, and the oranges and the fresh Hawaiian pineapple with 2 people.
You know, while listening to you, I was thinking about like, because we spoke on and off about self-care and what it really means.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking about it now, and I realize that the way self-care is in society, or
Mm-hmm.
where I, or how I used to see it was performative. It didn't actually do anything for your body. I think real self-care is actually doing it for you, and not because of an expectation of society, or to look a certain way to other people, or to get attention. It's something personally for you and works for you. It has nothing to do with anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's for you,
Now, no, don't get
only
it.
for you.
I do enjoy my body feeling fit and nice and enjoying my own body, but it is primarily first for the way I feel, and I already know that being fit, relatively fit, is going to be a result. So I kind of don't have to worry about it so much because it's an automatic result of doing something because of the way it makes me feel. Then I remember the form is going to follow the function, right? If I have a functionally fit body, and I could do this, that was cardio again, strength, flexibility, and mobility, one quick little Tootsie Roll. So that's a habit. So I don't even have to work. So I got that in on a Sunday. So I just fulfilled so much. I fulfilled the need for community, right? Sharing something, because that's also enjoyable to me, something somebody else enjoyed. I got some nature. I got some quiet. I got fitness. Is life perfect? No. But I just really took care. And also my self-talk. You know, I've been on this path for 35 years, but my self-talk can still be disempowering. I notice it. Like sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, this been this many years, because it's like we take for granted how it's ingrained and how it's triggered. A lot of times we don't question it. When you're in it, you're not getting feedback. It's the ego is what's giving you so-called you're in the ego. The ego can't see nothing else. Something has to come from almost outside of you. You have to have something to interrupt the autopilot. And if that's never been on your radar, you're likely not going to question it. It's not in your awareness, right? If you've never had feedback, you don't have any feedback to say like, wow, you're in your head, or to even have a conversation and distinguish the part of your intelligence that is the ego, the part of your intelligence that is your essence. And you're taking instructions from the two that are always operating all the time, right? Making those distinctions can really shift your paradigm from one of disempowering. Sometimes we're going to have maybe often have disempowering language going on that feels like it's got you hostage, like almost like you can't get out of it. Like, wow, I can't believe I messed up. Wow, I'm not here. I'm not. And this is a big part of what social media does. It's not the only thing, but you're constantly, the act of constantly comparing yourself is disempowering. But autopilot, because it's constantly affirming to your subconscious what you are not. Even if you're inspired by something, you can still, it can come through the back door. You can be disempowered because you're constantly, the self-talk, the ego is constantly pounding down what you are not. I am not this. I wish I was that. If only I could. They can do this, but I can't. The very nature, the tone of it, the feel of it is disempowering. It'll take the wind right out of your sails. Does that make sense?
Yes, that was one of the things I was actually talking about it within my voice log diaries.
Mm.
It's like, self, what is real self acceptance? And I realized a lot of For me, it's kind of like, I don't know. I just feel like when I just say F it and just be myself, a lot of the issues that I have seem to go away easily. And I'm like, why haven't I done this sooner? Like I'm restricting myself, and I don't want to do that anymore.
But even there, we could beat up on it, but it wasn't in the awareness. And even with our best efforts, a lot of times, even when you're doing a lot, it's you by yourself. If you don't have, it's a beautiful hummingbird outside the window. If you don't have circles of feedback, and today, I would say a lot of the common narrative, whether people are aware of it or not, our language as a collective is very disempowering. It's even the bonding, we say trauma bonding, but we don't explore anymore. We may not understand how fully comprehend how to get out of trauma bonding because there's such a need to be heard if you were not heard or listened to or validated by your parents, right? Maybe they didn't have the capacity or the maturity to. So it makes sense that it's not on your awareness because that's where you should have, ideally, we would have gotten it from. I could say should have, but I would say ideally we would have gotten it from. But many of us have never received it. So it makes sense that we constantly have like, we're desperate to be heard. That's the way
I
it's desperate. So now to introduce, how are you going to find out, what else is there other than that? You can't know what you don't know until you encounter other circles and other information. Likely the circles that you're in, you're recycling the same conversations, and we're bonding with people who are, oh wow, familiar with, we have familiar experiences. So many of us won't venture out to something that's going to challenge us fitness or to something that's going to challenge us. I had a conversation with somebody this past week. Oh my gosh, it was like mental gymnastics. I wanted my mind, I wanted to exit the conversation. It made me so uncomfortable. And the person invited me not to get emotional and to stay with what I was feeling. And it took a minute. I felt like my ego was going off. Who is this person telling me this? But it was actually so helpful. And I wanted to exit the conversation, get off the phone a couple of times, but they stayed with me in the conversation. This was somebody also that was younger than me, and invited me to try some other words on the same way I'm able to sit for other people. And I was like, oh wow, I actually got value out of the communication after, and I came out with some take homes. For example, um, in this communication, I came out with how important it is to have, even if I don't have a lot of it now, but it really, and I've heard this before, I know this intellectually, how important it is to have other places to speak and articulate. I'm used to holding space for other people, but it came out on my awareness in another way, because you may not realize, even with your best friends, the weight. This person was expressing to me the weight of, if you're venting on somebody, you don't know what they're going through. And even if they called in their listening ear, they might have wanted to express and share something else with you. Or maybe you may not realize, okay, they're a friend and they're giving you their ear, but you may not realize how what you're expressing to them is triggering them. Does that make sense? You really may not understand how you're affecting them. And this person might be like, I really like them, but I can't take this conversation because I have a need that I need to be filled too. And a lot of times we're communicating, we're not asking for permission, and we don't really have an awareness of anybody else but ourselves. That's not the common language. It's not really, it's performative. We have manners, we say please and thank you. But most of the time we're not really interested. We're not really interested in somebody else and what's going, because
um
coming from a deficit. Go ahead.
no, I understand. I've been a human pacifier on several occasions before, where someone, I have no issues with being a listening ear as well. It's just that if I will do it if it's productive. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I understand that, and there are conversations that can be triggering, but like at the same time, it's like I do it if the person, it really means to grow from it. It has to have some purpose for me to like sit there and
But
engage in the energy.
we're assuming they're going to grow up. But what if you didn't have to? What if there was a person that already was at a space where that's not their need? They have the capacity to be an ear for you. That might even come as a shock to you, right? Because we're not used to encountering people that are mature enough, right, or that developed enough to be able to hold space for us, right? Where you spend, like, they have it to give. Sometimes like a grandmother or somebody, like they've been through enough life where they actually give you the space without the judgment to express whatever, right? And sometimes we're also hoping that somebody else would be a listening ear for us, but maybe they don't have it. Maybe all that they get is within their capacity is, I need to just talk. But then it might not be till later years you realize, oh my gosh, I wanted that and I needed that too, to somebody to hold space for me. And that's what sometimes women, that piles up for years and later we're bitter and angry. And that's where a lot of the weight comes from.
I'd say that our coaching group, or just the whole thing, we do hold space for each other, and for the most part we're respectful to each other. So this community is good for that. Because you're right, it's very difficult to find other people that they can hold space for you and you can hold space with them. That's non-judgmental. That's healthy. Because I had to learn real quick that I can't vent to people, everybody, any and everybody, because you don't really know what their intentions are.
Mm-hmm. And we say the word vent, um, but let's look at the word dump, offload. It might generally be stuff that you're on. Is there a way to do that, to share and to express what you have feel and need to express responsibly? Right? Let's say you're sharing, but you have no intention. You don't demonstrate any intention on making changes to your body or to a negative relationship, because it's comfortable, it's familiar. So you just come to the communication and you report on, this is what I'm going through, and but you're not making any changes, and your friends are watching you become unhealthier, right? And here you complaining more about stress and pain in your joints, and understanding, as we know, that stress has physiological effects on your arteries and on inflammation in your joints and literal pain. Yes, you could be eating all the raw foods and doing the exercise. Toxic relating and not having healthy outlets is affecting you physically.
I agree. Hobbies and interests outside of work,
And
and
all,
taking time to actually, yeah.
we're people that they want to walk too. They enjoy the park as just as much as you do. We're the other folks that enjoy walking and like, oh wow, you got that bike. I got that bike too. That's different than, oh girl, I used to be with somebody that, oh my gosh, it was the worst. And we comparing horror stories and relationships in terms of like, I learned how to fix my flat tire. You did? Can you help me fix my flat tire? Or girl, I learned how to change my own brakes. And you swap a skill.
Be that right there is also a landmine, because if you tell people, okay, if you tell people that you can fix your problems, or I don't know, sometimes I feel like people think you're bragging. That's what I've encountered when I told them, like, if I have a problem and then I tell them how I intend to fix it, it turns them off, because it comes off as bragging, because it's like, oh, you can always fix your problems, but I can't. So it's like it's tricky. Again, you have to find the right people.
It depends on the circles that you're in. Because right now, if I'm speaking to somebody, let's say they're not proficient in fixing a tire, right? But they're proficient in spotting properties for business, or they're proficient in knowing how to get the wood for the fencing, and I'm interested in fencing, right? Proper wood, hardwood for fencing, or they have all these other business skills, right? Maybe perhaps I have more skills in terms of food and food combining, and they have an interest because they're really interested in longevity for themselves. That's a win-win in terms of conversation. It depends perhaps on the circles. A lot of times we're staying with people that are comfortable. Even we may want something else, but we stay with what is familiar. So there's a lot to be said for the circles that we're in. If we keep circling same conversation, we never go any place new. Or try that new class, or do something totally different, or explore a new art class, or do something new, or maybe put some new content or something. That new stuff, pursuing what you're interested in, is going to bring new people, new things onto your radar, so that you wind up showing up in some different places for different activities. How else can you bring something new onto your compass, onto your radar? Something else has to show a blip on your radar. That means you're gonna have to put a different coordinate, right? Remember we talked about before we talked about the brain is a cybernetic system. So you get into the cockpit, you have to put the coordinates in for where you want to go. But we don't take that seriously, right? We dream while we're eating the potato chips instead of dreaming while we're doing the yoga or finding other ways to get feel good chemicals and finding other ways. Let's say we do yoga, and after the yoga shavasana, how did your body feel? Well, how did my body feel? And comparing notes. That's new conversation, right? We're circling a lot of the same conversation we're familiar with. It's so much so we're not real. We just it's not coming up on our radar how much new experiences we could have, and we already have a set narrative for healthy food is not going to be delicious. You hear people say this: healthy food is not affordable. Um, it's impossible to have healthy relationships. Well, who are you talking to? I know for a fact that eating healthy is less expensive than being sick, and it's less expensive than eating processed foods. Depends on how you're running your numbers. I got to buy more food with processed foods. I'm not going to get full. It's going to make me feel heavy in my body. I don't feel good. My face is going to break out with acne. So it's actually costing me more. We're not running the numbers accurately, but that's what's in our awareness. So some people will fight you down and say it's expensive. That's your experience. But there's somebody else right now that might have less money than you that's having a whole different experience. Somebody else right now is having a different experience. They might have similar makeup as you. They're having a different experience. Somebody right now is doing phenomenal things with less money than you and less talent. Something different is in their awareness. Something else different is on their compass. I guarantee you, if we were to put a loudspeaker up and they're having a different conversation, I guarantee you it's not a disempowering conversation. If somebody has a similar makeup than you and they're getting a level of result that you desire and beyond, their conversation is different. Their self-talk is a little different. That means they've exercised some muscles that maybe you're likely were not exercising before.
You're right on that. I realize being more flexible and more forgiving actually works in my favor. I'm more likely to get things done.
Mm. Yeah, because then you're not holding on to excess weight, right? Everybody's looking to lose weight. That's why it's not sustainable. Where did you find the weight? Underneath a rock somewhere? Weight release. It's not a joke. But weight release is a state of mind. If you're releasing what's not serving you, that means likely you're going to have to observe, as you've been doing with your journaling, observing very clearly. With you're writing it down on paper, that's very clear. What are you holding on to? What patterns? What patterns of behavior, of self-talk are you holding on to? You got to identify it first. That's not serving you, and to sit with it and to observe it.
Um, I just wanted to add, like, about like sitting with your feelings and observing, right? So Friday and Saturday, I continue to throw stuff out,
Mm,
and the it was a little different this time. The same thing happened the last time I tried, like, well, not the last time I went in and started decluttering. I kind of let me start over. Like on Friday, I felt intimidated
mm,
because I saw some things that I did not want to let go. I
mm,
walked away from it and I thought about it for a second, and I'm like, this doesn't serve me anymore. So I left it alone and I went to something else that was a lot easier.
mm,
Um, but I ended up going through all the dishes that I have. I have enough dishes for 12 people. And I'm like, why do I have all these dishes? And I was sitting with myself and I realized I have a tendency not to let things go because I always, it's out of a feeling of lack, of the feeling of like desperation of making sure I have everything, and not
mm,
realizing that having 4 plates, 3 cups, and a couple of bowls is enough.
mm,
And so I have a huge trash bag with all those plates and stuff, and I feel so much better looking at my dish rack now because it's like it's now easier to handle. The dishes is going to be easier for me to handle. doing dishes is going to be easier for me to handle. Eating, finding the dishes that I need will be easier for me to find. It just makes me, when I declutter, it makes me think about why I bought the things I bought and why I have the things I have and where it came from.
Mm.
And sitting with the feelings. And one thing I've learned along this whole week is that I have to like be okay with sitting in the discomfort and knowing that I'm not going to die. It's not the end of the world. That, you know, the feelings will pass, and that I can, and that I have to accept that I'm going to have them on and off.
Mm.
And I don't know, I felt like a sense I did more because I threw out all my dishes, most of them. I only have 25% left.
Gonna be able to give them away to somebody, or a shelter, or some young woman, or somebody?
The shelters won't take anything used, and to be honest, I don't really, since I live alone, I
Mm-hmm.
don't really want to get too familiar with people in the building, if that makes sense.
So yeah, and some
Um,
stuff take it.
there is a place downstairs that I can probably put it like in the mail room and see if somebody wants it.
Yeah,
But it's
take it and see what happens, because that's really interesting to watch. Every time you come back to the box that somebody takes stuff out, somebody like, oh wow. So that's a good feeling too, that somebody's going to pick up something they feel they need. No pressure, free stuff, take it.
Oh, that's a good idea. I actually have a lot of excessive cat toys. I need to take that to the shelter. They'll take that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's a good idea. So I'm gonna take the because I'm actually going through my cat's toys as we're going through this coaching session. I'm gonna take it and I'm just gonna drop it off at the shelter because the
Mm-hmm.
cats they'll take used items.
Out of it. That's the beautiful thing. When you put stuff down and say free stuff, take it, you'll be amazed. You'll be like, oh, somebody left this here? Like brand new dishes, I'll take that. You know what I'm saying? What it does also for you, knowing that it's going to somebody is going to use it. Um, I would say decluttering has been like a big part. I consider like a significant part of internal work, right? Again, weight release in contrast to weight loss. Something that just hit me the other day, I'll share, is like, I was looking in my closet, and I've been curating my closet for a while, getting rid of stuff. And it just occurred to me, I said, something, something is wrong here. I said, or the thought came to me, you're repeating a pattern. You keep, it came to me, right? You're making the same mistake over and over. And I started looking at what's the same mistake? I was like, you bought this, and this thing. You like the way it looked. Okay, it was a great price or whatever. But you're buying things like, for some reason, it's a pattern of things that you're not using. What are the things that you're purchasing that you're not using? And I started lifting things out of the closet. It wasn't a lot of security, but I lifted several things out of there that just they didn't make me feel a certain kind of way. So I was like, so as I put it to the side so I can get rid of it, because I've been offloading a lot of clothes, I was like, you don't need to keep bringing things in that give you this feeling. Right? That's what I was able, just in terms of pattern recognition, I feel is a shortcut. I recognize that certain things, I might like it temporarily, but then I purchase it and then I have to get rid of it. Some of that has to do with color. So I realized visual clutter is a no-no for me. Too much stuff, or stuff that's not interchangeable, is clutter to me. And as much as I might like the pattern or something, I can do a couple of little accents. But I realized more than it's not so much about the capsule wardrobe. Having more things that I can manage is extreme. I find it extremely stressful. Visual clutter, looking and I can't see. So my closet was organized, but I organized it again. I turned a couple of baskets of shelves this way, so it feels like more stackable shelves, so I can see what I have. So visually, that felt like a relief to me. But I like my stuff to look streamlined, because I realized the clutter it feels very like it's triggering anxiety. So I recognize what's the pattern here of how I'm bringing new things into my wardrobe. What are the new things? What do these things have in common? And I notice sometimes it is decision fatigue. If I have to keep going through all of this stuff, making the decision of what to wear, then that kind of helped me streamline down more of my colors. It's much more simpler. I was like, I would rather have one little shelf of clothes for me that I can wear all year round, because I find it extremely stressful to have more things that I can manage. Even with the best intentions, I'm not I can't manage it. It's too much. My lifestyle is too busy. I don't want to manage that much. Just like I don't want to do much with my hair. Either it's stay locked or I'm going to shave it off. No problem. Either this one or I will take the clip, because the priority to me is the freedom and the relaxation. That is that's health to me. Is freedom and relaxation. It feels extremely unhealthy to me to have a whole bunch of stuff I can't even hold and I can't wear. I don't even know what's in there. I can't even wear my favorite stuff because there's too much stuff. It's stressful. So
I
I'm not
agree.
too much stuff to take care of. It's too much stuff on my person. Too much stuff clogging my pores. It makes me feel like I'm suffocating and I'm drowning. I have no desire for more. I don't like too much extra clutter on my body. If I'm twisting into a yoga pose and there's food, when you're talking about earlier about rest, that hasn't digested, that's stressful. It doesn't
I
feel,
agree.
so do you see how that distinction, that perspective will could really help you come out of trying to do something? When you're trying, you'll be there for years trying to lose weight. People are moving 5 pounds, 10 pounds of water around. They're not putting on more muscle because most people are not consistent, or they're not strength training, and you're going to need the strength training. But we don't have the mental space for the movement practice because we're taking care of too many people and too many things. You don't even have the mental space to get to your movement practice or to your exercise mat. There's no mental space. You made the mental space. You've created and cultivated the mental space for your walks now. That's the difference from trying. Go ahead.
I was gonna say everything you said about like decluttering is exactly why I'm doing it. Especially for someone like me, yeah, simplifying is the way to go. Less decisions, the less decisions I have to make, the better my life becomes. One of the okay Earlier when I was saying like I had a hard time throwing out an item or two, it was some hair products from when I was doing like wigs and stuff, and I had to like sit there in the discomfort because I'm looking at the glues, the lace tent, the combs, and all this other stuff, and I'm like, my first thought in my mind was, oh, you can use it for something later, and I'm like, no, you already decided that you're not wearing wigs and weaves anymore, so I actually had to throw it in the trash bag and let it go. And I was so happy that I did that because now my shelf is clear and I can see where my skincare items are now. And it also made me bring up one thing I've noticed is that I the same way I binge with food is the same way I do with items. Like I buy things to soothe myself, and I just wanted to have it because it makes me feel a certain way, but it doesn't serve a purpose and it's not actually helping me. The
Mm-hmm.
clutter does not. You were right about clutter. Not it. Clutter causes anxiety for me, confusion. If I can't find something, it makes it. When I get if I can't find something, I get very irritable. I get mad, and it just triggers a lot of other things I don't like. Just like, for instance, I know I'm bringing up the dishes again, but I'm like, I can just walk over there and get a plate now. I don't have to go through all these lids and bowls and cups to get a plate. I can just reach for it, and I just felt a sense of satisfaction. It's just streamlined because I
Mm-hmm.
already have a lot to streamline and everything. Like there's a lot that I can let go and I'll be fine with. Like hair is a touchy thing for me, but I think I can let it all. I have, and I'm continuing to. The one thing I've noticed is that every time I make a revision, I have to go back and do it again. Like I threw out a lot of stuff last week. This
Mm-hmm.
week, I have to now go through some containers and really throw out some more stuff. Like I have doubles of everything. It's unreal. Like I have 2 hammers, 3 saws. It's like, why do I have all these? I have like it's from I have like a huge container of tools from when I did construction.
Mm-hmm.
And there were times where I keep it because I know how to fix things around the house. I don't really need to certain things I don't need to call maintenance for. But I don't need so many tools. So
Maybe
I'm gonna have to donate.
let them go on Facebook Marketplace, or see if you can identify a nonprofit organization that's around you with women or girls. Because I love, there are a couple of channels I watch. One in particular on Instagram where this man has his daughters doing so much with trucks and cars and big pieces and drills, and it's like, oh my God, they're so proficient. So perhaps there's a nonprofit organization that works with young people or girls that could use those tools. There's got to be something somewhere, and to have a relationship where you can drop clothes or other things off, because I'm pretty sure tools can be expensive, especially today. So maybe perhaps you can identify a place, one or two places, even just one, not for profit, or let's say if there's a school that's near you, or if you know a teacher, there's always some teacher somewhere that's out there shining, doing some kind of project with building or something with young people, or that's maybe with a community garden. A community garden could use those tools. You know what I'm saying? So that's a relationship where you could put those things up, because that's a form of, I would say it's a form of currency. If you invested and you paid for them, those things, a lot of things that people have been spending more money for, that's a currency, right? I may not need several juices, but maybe I could put the juicer in somebody else's hands. That's to me I would even say this, when I was in a gardening group in Brooklyn, what do we used to call it? It's another kind of, it's called a share economy, right? There's a term for it, it's called a share economy. Yeah, and it's something I thought about a long time, but it has to be reciprocal. If it's not reciprocal, if you can see if they put it on your radar. If you can identify some kind of organization for young people or young women that they're building something or doing community gardening, like I really like what they're doing, and see if you can make some donations and give it to, it's feeding something, but it's also feeding you. You know what I'm saying? When you're happy to, like, yeah, I'm happy. I mean, sometimes people are giving something away. I remember somebody was giving me a brand new elliptical machine. I didn't have a need for an elliptical machine. It's like I had clients who were complaining about this, and I'm like, listen, those are your problems. I said, let me get that elliptical. I bet you I'll put it in somebody's hands who needs that elliptical machine. You got personal trainers, you got elliptical, you got all the stuff you don't need. I said, give it to me. Let me take it off your hands and put it in the hands of somebody that could use it. You know what I'm saying? And they could just get rid of a $3,000 elliptical machine. But I was like, somebody else could use that, right? So maybe that's perhaps, I think that could be really very fulfilling, right? And somebody could realize, wow, we needed some tools. Instead of going to Home Depot and buying it brand new, you could get that off. That's currency. That's valuable currency, these things that you've invested in. It's got to be a school or something near you. And I think it could perhaps open up opportunities um, for you to be fed in another kind of way. Put some things on your radar in terms of volunteering.
I can take it to.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about volunteering too, but I was gonna take all the excess stuff to the Salvation Army. They'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
Tools and stuff like that. The Salvation Army will take it.
Yeah, look at salvation. But I'm just saying, just take a look and see if there's anything around, because these days with Google, you can find something that's not for profit and to put it within, I don't know, 25-mile or something close radius. Just see if you can identify if there could be some kind of a non for profit for young women. Just see before you give to the Salvation Army, right? Just see if there's any around you, or if there's a really good teacher or somebody usually in your community around that's doing something that's about something, or starting a non for profit. And for you to put juicer, hammer, whatever kind of tools in their hand, or some extra clothes, who knows, it might be some young girl that's in crisis or whatever, or a young mother, somebody, and put clothes and things in their hand, that might be a treasure to them. Maybe somebody's starting a hair business. I don't know.
I did when I was moving out. I did give away a lot. I had so much stuff. It was insane. I'm like, how can one person have that much stuff? I had a huge trash bag of like hair supplies, extensions, attachments, all that stuff. I gave it. I had a friend of mine, and their sister or cousin come over, and I was gonna throw out some hair stuff, and she took it all because she does hair. So she took that. She took some shoes I wasn't wearing.
Mm-hmm.
She took a lot of like. Oh, she took the fridge. I gave her a whole fridge. I gave her a gaming chair because her son needed it. Um, she took a lot for her because she has a couple of kids herself. So she took what she wanted. I don't mind giving things away to people.
Yeah, I think you can
So I'm looking to it.
NGO. See if you can find some kind of girls organization that's around you, right? Because that's also part of forming community and a network. And I would even say that I think it can be beneficial to have some quote unquote parenting experiences, right? It could be one day, a couple days out of the year where you go and you volunteer something. It can be very, where everybody thinks they got, oh, I gotta have a baby. You can have parenting fulfilling, very fulfilling parenting experiences by spending a day and giving somebody, holding space for a young person, or even watching them enjoying the things you saw, the tools that you have. Just look it up and see what's
I,
there.
I kind of already do that with the kids in my vehicle. Like
Uh,
as I'm driving around, the kids, I speak to them. They think I don't understand everything they're going through, and I'm like, nah, they're special needs, right? And like they have, supposed quote unquote issues and challenges. I'm like, I have the same thing, because when we have a conversation, they think I wouldn't understand, but I actually been where they are and I understand how they feel. So I already do kind of have, I already do that with children already. I was thinking that I want to volunteer at the shelter and clean out cat cages or something. Like I
okay.
want to do something physical. I need to get out the house, so I'm gonna see if I can apply to a shelter. And not, I don't have to necessarily interact with the cats. I just like the idea of them having like a clean space, or
Yeah.
like making the environment a little better.
That's an excellent idea. That's an excellent idea. That's an excellent idea. Things like that, like again, we take it for granted. Like there's only so much clothes you could have, but at some point, it's like diminishing returns. It becomes, and at some point, it becomes a weight, right? Because it's not giving what it's supposed to have gave. Having 2 years worth of clothes, you'll never wear all of that stuff. But you really like cats and interact. Yeah, go volunteer your time. It's a different energy, right? And when you do that, you come in contact. You put other things on your radar. You put other types of experiences, fulfilling experiences, on your radar. hmm All right, woo, full full session. Any final thoughts in terms of self talk and self sabotage? I think we unpacked a lot.
Not No final thoughts. It was a really good session. I'm gonna have to watch it over again.
hmm
In the last, I noticed in the last couple of weeks, everything seems to streamline into each other, because I'm still thinking about like the definition between thoughts and feelings, and then what brings you energy and what is functional depression. And
Mm.
then today, self sabotage. And I know we've spoke about this over and over again, but the more that we speak about it and the more that I do and I gain more experience, the more that I internalize it and I feel so much better. And
Yeah.
I'm so
Let's make it
happy with that.
happening though. What's happening is we throw these words around, but a lot of times it's performative, right? So what actually you're processing your thought, you're actually processing. You're not just letting them, follow them aimlessly. You're actually taking. It's like digestion. You're digesting your food instead of running down the street and scarfing it down, and you're not present. And you're doing 20 things while you're eating. Okay, in contrast to sitting down in nature at the table with a cloth napkin, maybe have the window open and you're hearing birds, and you're digesting your food. Well, in a similar fashion, you're processing and digesting your own emotion. You're allowing it digestion, and then you can rest. Then your nervous system can rest. So that's a distinct. That's what you're doing, right? And the more you do it, more stuff comes on your radar. Your awareness becomes heightened. Your developing the muscle. These are intangible muscles, not the muscles that you can see, right? These are, and it's the foundational muscles. Remember, in strength training before, we were talking about the prime movers that lift the weights and push them back and forth, but then the supporting calves, not to be underestimated, or stabilizing muscles. If you don't activate the stabilizing muscles, that's why we get so many shoulder injuries, lower back injuries, stability issues, because the ankles, knees, and hips are not stable. So those are not show offy muscles that they don't get big. Those are muscles that you just want them to be active, right? Even the wrist and the ankle. You can't lift what weights are you lifting with no wrists and no ankles, right? So they don't get to play, right? Because they're not as ego driven, but you need them, right? So you are cultivating and developing muscles by starting to incorporate these practices on a regular basis. And then there's a next level to, you're engaging, you're writing, you're processing. So you're not going to get anything out of it if you don't actually do the exercise. So now when you do the exercise, just like when you do your movement practice, now you have something a coach can give you feedback on, right? So now you got some feedback, so you're not even held hostage by your own ego, right? You can introduce new things and new concepts to the conversation. So there are a whole bunch of muscles that we are not engaging, right? And that are not necessarily, even if let's say you get new thoughts, watching videos online, right? You're not turning those necessarily over other people. It's still your own ego. A lot of times that will block you from really exploring new ideas that you may come across on social media. So you're also able to get some feedback and go digest it some more and bring it back and keep telling the muscles will get stronger. The muscle of your awareness will become stronger, if that makes sense, right? So you're doing.
Um,
Go ahead.
I was agreeing. I said it does.
hmm Yeah, and these are it's nuance. This is a big part of what's missing from fitness and from mental health, right? So you're independent. You have things that you can do on your own, and you also have things that you can turn over and marinate with other people in a healthy context, right? In contrast to trauma bonding. So look at all this. That's a lot of distinctions. That's a lot of important. Um, it's a lot of important. All right, members. Also, um, we'll save this and put this in a Sunday coaching session so that you can refer back to it. And to me, I love to replay the videos while I'm doing decluttering. But sometimes if there's something else, I can marinate on it and I can get something deeper out of the same principle, the same lesson, right? And I'll be like, oh, what was that? And I'll rewind it a little bit and say, okay. And then give me more time to digest and to reflect on it. All right, ma'am. So enjoy the rest of your day. And I'm going to put a thumbnail on this and I'll put this in our Sunday coaching session. And I'm looking forward to seeing your beautiful, imperfect workouts or movement practice inside the heart rate monitor section.
Okay. Thank you,
No
Kwasa. You have a
problem.
good weekend, a good Sunday.
You too. See you soon.
Bye. Bye.